The idea of sharing resources isn't anything new to us humans. Those folks that study cave drawings and old fire pits, anthropologists, I think, they say we've been sharing resources as a way to survive for tens of thousands of years. I don't know if the dudes tens of thousands of years ago were worried about cloud security, but, it's something that I have a concern of when we share stuff in the internet. See, and that's me jumping right to the point. We're talking about the public cloud, the publicly accessible cloud services that are available over the public internet. That right there sends a lot of people, and for a long time, that was all they needed to hear was like, we don't do public, we're secure. Well, that's really kind of a silly argument these days because the level of security that we're all expected to maintain is as if all of our resources were exposed to the internet at all times anyway. More or less, they kind of have to be. We got so many things that have to be connected to various different cloud services that our own internal research, our own internal resources are going to be highly subjected to the security rules that cloud providers like Google and Amazon and Microsoft are having to hold themselves to anyway. Let's draw this out to make sure that we're all on the same page. In a traditional environment, we have what we call our perimeter. And our perimeter is going to be the defining line between internal and external, which is to say secure and not secure, liable, not liable, right? Lots of ways to define it. Depends on what your organization does, what matters to your organization or your group. But ultimately, internal and external are the terms you're going to hear and see on exams, and those are the ones that we'll stick to. I don't know necessarily if everyone that is interested in learning about this information is going to have a networking background. But when we hear perimeter, when we hear inside and external, outside, internal, these terms, right? We're thinking fences. We're thinking lines, right? We got to not think lines. We need to think bubbles, spheres, right? We have a sphere of influence. We have a bubble that we don't want things to pop. I'm definitely going to get my nerd card revoked for not capitalizing on the opportunity to use the term force field. But we're going to stick with perimeter, bubble, or sphere. Inside our bubble, it's going to be our traditional data center, right? We're going to have a building. This is our data center. Inside that data center are our racks. Now, theoretically, the bubble is probably actually inside the building, not necessarily encompassing the building, but, we're going to go with this. Not a force field. Yeah, anyway, so this server, these virtual machines, or perhaps they're still original servers, perhaps it's all just desktops, and there's a bunch of things just hosted on desktops. It's horrifying to imagine, but it's possible. And what we have is our internal applications, right? We have maybe email, maybe we've got some web apps, maybe we have an accounting piece of software. Ooh, HR, right? Everybody's got to get punched in and out for time. We have all of these different apps that make up our internal environment, and we have need to augment it. Now we are going to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of research, and we're going to determine that the public cloud is what is going to have what we need. It's going to have the offerings, the applications, or the services that we may have interest of. They're shiny and brand new and all sparkly and here for us in a nice and inexpensive fashion. Now, I draw this out in this fashion specifically so I can put emphasis on what is defined as public cloud. It being external to our perimeter is what makes it public. This is the public because it's not private. With the internet, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot of gray area. In order for traffic to pass to a cloud from an internal data center, it must traverse in some fashion the public internet. If it doesn't, if it's accessible via internal resources directly without ever having to traverse public space from layer 2 on up, then it is considered not public cloud. It is private access. You control it. You have access to the infrastructure at a level that is outside of what you would expect from someone leasing services specifically at the cloud function level. Now, another very key distinction about our public cloud. When we access a public cloud provider, we cross that internet border and we establish our application beachhead within this public cloud space. We do so within a very narrow area. At least 3/4, probably closer to the neighborhood of 85–90%, but 3/4 of all of the resources and infrastructure that have something to do with this cloud service functioning are going to be completely inaccessible to you as a customer or client. You're operating within a band of access that is granted specifically to customers. Why is that? Because you're only getting your slice of their cloud, and the rest of these are going to belong to their other customers. You didn't think there were cloud providers out there that you could just rent the 100% entirety of, do you? Well, there are, but we're not really talking about them in the AZ900. Microsoft allows you to carve out your little space, but it's also important and pertinent to the AZ900 that you understand that all of the background resources that actually comprise this functional piece of technology are shared amongst all of Microsoft's other cloud customers. Now, this means that your data for your Active Directory background backups that's stored in a Azure storage pool could be residing literally on the same hardware as the backup copies of Xbox saves from 2017. Probably not, because I'm hoping Microsoft has at least kept their data segregated so they can keep track of it. If it's one giant pool and they put their own stuff in with the customer stuff, that just makes life difficult for them. But it's not like they couldn't do it. I think that's pretty cool. I like it. The public cloud has a lot to offer. Microsoft's version of it, Azure, is a really great alternative for businesses that have used a lot of traditional data center technologies and are looking for simplification or cost reduction or performance increase or D, all of the above. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.